Hey guys, still there and welcome back to Wargame. Today I have one of those weird replays for you, in the sense that I'm going to be following two units up close. It's these two Leclercs. These two Leclercs are going to have a very interesting life in this game. They're commanded by Dr. Czar, so I suppose you could be saying that they're following Doctor's orders. And let's hope that the Doctor knows what he's doing. Because two Leclercs on Punch Bowl over here, I'll zoom out a bit. We're on this side. Two Leclercs on very open area or forested area where they can get ambushed quite easily is a risky venture. So let's hope that he's capable of keeping these units alive. Leclercs have a lot of firepower, but not always the best armor. And that armor, especially up close, doesn't matter. Something just has to pop out of the bushes here. Could be T-72, could be a C-64, even a low T-80. And you can kiss your Leclerc goodbye. Depending on the orientation, of course. Now, I'm not going to be really looking at a zoomed out perspective, maybe from time to time. But let me tell you, these guys are going to have a very interesting run in this match. He's also working with a Flak Panzer Gepard A2, a Marder 2, and a VLRA with Recon. So we at least have some vision. Although you could argue that Recon might not even be that necessary in those tree line of sight areas. Now, he's not going out there alone. There is a large force of Israeli transports and supports moving around with him. They're going to try to capture the towns over there. That's apparently Wu-Tang Clan and Roar. And he has put down his own marker saying the Leclerc is going to go here. And we've got two Leclercs over here. Not France. Meet Voyer in the left Leclerc over there, if I can get my eyes on it. Everybody's bumping each other off the road. You'd think that these guys are all in NATO, or at least in some form of cooperation, and no, just sheer road rage over here. Anyway, this is Voyer, the other one is called Avis. They're both elite Leclercs. Dr. Czar over here was using an armored deck of the European variety, and went in with two elite Leclercs. Now, it's going to get busy. It's going to get really busy. This is that first block of buildings that you encounter, and that's usually quite heavily fought over. It's about to get hectic, because just like blue wants to get these buildings, so does red. So the first couple of vehicles are showing up for the Leclercs, and everything else that we can see here, well, I don't exactly know what it is, but it's a lot of transports and a lot of infantry. So at the moment, Avis and Voyer are moving to the right, taking up a bit of a concealed position, and just picking off whatever they can find. And it's actually quite difficult for me to get a good line of sight on anything. Because half the time the game doesn't know what's identified, and the other half of the time I don't know what's being identified. So it's quite hard to actually figure out what these things are shooting at. For now they have gotten 160 point kill. That, I'm not even sure what that was. Was that a 160 point kill? That's a Moderna? That's a transport? Yep. If I'm not mistaken, that is a Moderna. So between the two of them, they already got a 160 point tank killed. And this is where you really have the Leclerc shine, because they got that great rate of fire of 12 rounds a minute. Armor is not really that good at 21. Sure enough, it's enough, but especially if you're fighting heavier threats, you could really take quite a beating from those things, and they might not be able to take it. Now, Voyer was the one who took the damage from the Leclerc, or sorry, from the Moderna. He is now splitting them up, so hopefully they're not going to get clustered and finished. But there is something in the sky, and it's coming for the Leclercs. At this point, Voyer over here has taken severe damage. This tank is down to 2 hit points, the other one is down to 7, but they're both panicked. So it's time to do what the French do best, and beat a temporary retreat. Because we still need to get these tanks back in the field. Now, it is quite a close artillery call there. I'm glad that these things are as mobile as they are at 75 kph off-road. If they hadn't been that fast, they might have been killed there by the artillery. Anyway, it's time for Avis and Voyer to go back to base for a bit. As they're going back to base for repairs, let's see how Blue is doing. Blue has taken definite command over all of these buildings. We got the Light Rifleman, the Corps Marinier, Shayatet, Dorban LRs. Anything that tries to cross this field is going to get shot at by the Dorbans first. And anything that still keeps going after the Dorbans are expended or have expended their missiles, they are going to run into a lot of infantry. The right flank is also more or less taken up by blue, but it's just one player. This seems to be War Instigator and a couple of AMX-13 from, what was that, Described Eternity. But that's all that blue has over here, so this position is exceptionally weak. And this position is really going to need quite a bit of help. Now they are getting some help in the form of cluster artillery, trying to keep the enemy damaged and thus at range. What the hell? Hold on. We got an OTM-5 with a machine gun that is not capable of damaging this vehicle because it is too heavily armored. And the AMX-13s are just sitting there. They don't have their guns turned on because they're radar guided and he's afraid of seed. But these things are... They're what, 15 meters apart? Because why not? This must be so weird for both of the crews. This guy says, sorry, I cannot fire because it won't do anything. And this guy is going, I can't fire because I'm told not to. Sure. Everybody's saying, AA, hello, turn on, get this AA active, get it shooting, now. Because there's also more infantry on the way. And these guys can do damage against your AMX-13s. In fact, they already have done some. Fortunately, it's just a bit of militia with a really old bazooka. And they actually need multiple shots to take out something as lightly armored as an AMX-13. But there you go, they finally got it. And now, Described Eternity actually turns it on. And fairly rapidly wipes out the TO1. Or sorry, the TO. And with that, unfortunately, gets smacked by his own artillery. Now, at this point, Avis is back in the field. Not a moment too soon, because this whole line is falling. He's taking some shots as the Zolosnichi are trying to cross the field. His buddy over there is still waiting for repairs, Voyer. He had to stick around a little longer because I think that was the one that took more damage. So for the moment, Avis has to keep going solo. He does have support from some Jaeger, but that is all that they have here. On the other far right, as I showed you before, we have the SEALs and the Marines, a couple of LVTP-71s, but nothing much more than that. And unfortunately, this is where we encounter a squad of Proletary 90. And this Leclerc is no more. So let's hope that his buddy over here, Voyer, can still survive long enough to actually do a whole lot more damage and avenge his buddy. Because this will not stand. This, however, was definitely the result of bringing a tank into a position where it really shouldn't have gone unescorted. Sure enough, he had some Jaeger over there, but bringing the tank out to a position that close to the enemy, or at least that close to a recon or a tree line that we were fairly confident about that there was enemy forces, well, we were asking for it. It was just a matter of time before that tank was going to get hit by something that it just couldn't withstand. This, by the way, is also quite risky. This tank is not in concealment. We know that the enemy does have some cluster artillery. We also know they have HE artillery, and it's landing right about at the infantry here. And this tank is just sitting out in the open. Now, even if artillery doesn't get him, an anti-tank plane very well might. So, he got, as far as I'm concerned, really lucky here. That no anti-tank plane showed up, no long-range ATGM force showed up, and that they just, well, either ignored it or didn't have anything to take out the Leclerc with. Now he's waiting for a bit of reconnaissance, or at least something that's going to give him a target. So right now, Voyer is just sitting here, and it's not just 1 or 2 minutes, he just sits here for quite a while. In the meanwhile, let me pause this. Blue is all the way over here. They're actually quite close to pushing on Red's main spawn of Gulf. In the meanwhile, the other sector has more or less been defended, but you don't exactly know what's in there. And if they really want to, Red could still push through here. And it's a pretty short hop, just killing 1 Leclerc and 1 transport with probably more Jaeger. And you are in Blue Force spawn. So the situation is not exactly as secure as you might think. And Blue actually has 45 points less than Red 4. Now he's falling back a little bit, mostly because he probably doesn't feel too confident about his positioning here. Let's speed it up a little. There, we finally have some targets again. The Jaeger are once again in close contact, and now with the Proletary, I'm not exactly sure which squads. I'm not exactly sure which squad took out the other Leclerc, Avis, but at least they got one of the Proletari killed off. We'll call that a revenge kill. Now, this is again quite a risky position because we know there are some T-55s over there, but they are definitely far on the other side. So they couldn't hit Leclerc at this point, but it is still pretty risky. If there's one T-55, there's probably bound to be more. And with that, they could pop out of these forests, these tree lines, at any moment, without any notice. Now, once again, Proletarian 90 trying to get a shot at the Leclerc, but this time around first going for the Jaeger with good support from the Leclerc. Leclerc seems to miss its shot. One guy left. And they got him. Alright. Even the Jaeger survived, and there's another group coming up. There's another Moderna out there, however. That would be an interesting kill, because it is making life quite hard over here on the US Marines and the Navy SEALs. Insofar as there are any left, because this is the last SEAL here. And the Marines are moving up, building to building, trying to defend themselves from whatever is out there, and there is a lot that these Marines have to fight off. So it's time for the Leclerc to move up. Voyer has to make a move in order to get some of that pressure taken off of the US Marines. Goes for a target, kills a 40-point unit. I think it was an AA. Sometimes these tanks kill units so quickly that it's hard to figure out exactly what they killed. And oh look, that would be the Moderna. The Moderna returns fire but misses. Unfortunately withdraws into the tree line, making it difficult for the Leclerc to get another shot off. But there are plenty of other targets there. He's killed 15 points, so that's a 15-point transport probably. What's next, buddy? And what do we have here? 160 points. That's the Moderna. The Moderna apparently did get a return shot off. So Voyer's down to half health. But look at that. The T-72s are falling back. With the Moderna dead, I think the players over here just got a little bit less confident about their own positioning. And Voyer, with a pretty rapidly decreasing amount of ammunition, is taking out a lot of vehicles. However, this is when he gets subjected to artillery fire. Reverses away from the enemy position, takes a shot at the Commandosi while he's at it, and then decides to once again charge in. He probably really wants the kill on this command tank, or I'm not even sure what he's going for. You can see the turret swinging left to right, like he's trying to snap onto something, but he doesn't quite do it yet. Still, pushing forward with a Leclerc of 3 hit points is damn risky. Takes a shot. T-55 command tank at 1 hit point. Reloads. Fires again. Kills the command tank. Now he is in concealment. That is, this area does count as concealment if you're not moving too much. But it is risky. Because you can bet your ass that Red 4 knows exactly where that tank is. And Red 4 is probably waiting for their artillery to reload and get another shot in. So it's time to keep the Leclerc over here for a bit. And he's calling in a resupply vehicle. The Mankati's coming in. Hopefully there will not be any artillery strike on this position. If they saw Voyer moving to this position, they are bound to, there it is, fire another artillery salvo. It's actually pretty close range, this, I'm not even sure what that is. It is an artillery truck, MLRS. But I cannot exactly make out the make and model of it. In the meanwhile, a couple more vehicles and infantry are trying to push on the position of the Jaeger. Or rather, maybe the Jaeger are pushing onto their position. And the Leclerc once again is called into action, but now it only has the Browning left. There is no main gun ammunition. So this tank is currently a very heavily armored pillbox, which definitely can move, but aside from the M2, it doesn't have anything. He really has to wait. Now there is something left on the Rio over here, but wholly nothing. Yeah, that's not even enough to get one shell. So it is definitely time to wait for that Mankati. Unfortunately, we don't have to wait too long because the Mankati is here, carrying 1,750 units of supplies, and that should get the Leclerc back on its feet pretty quickly. That is, if somebody doesn't blow up or capture this supply truck. Now, the Leclerc is being healed up. Hopefully Red doesn't throw another artillery salvo at it, but they know where the Leclerc is. The Leclerc is still broadcasting its position by taking out another T-55 over there on the right. One way or another, the US Marines are still here. And I believe it is still the same squad. And the Navy SEALs are still here too. These guys have taken a lot of punishment. If you look at the town, it's just more moon landscape and damaged buildings than it's actually a town at this stage. So I'm really impressed that both the US Marines and the Navy SEALs actually still survived on this flank. Leclerc once again took a bit of an artillery salvo. It has a full complement of ammo, but due to being panicked, it's down to 50% accuracy. An AGGM flies narrowly over the top of the tank. We really got to kill that, but once again the Leclerc misses, courtesy of being panicked. So it's time to fall back before this thing takes another artillery salvo. In the meanwhile, Blue is still fighting here on the flank. The Dutch Marines are pushing forward, taking out infantry as they're pushing into the buildings, but apparently there's still so much around this fob that they're not capturing it. And there are probably all sorts of artillery units over here, because Red seems to have no shortage of artillery units, and they just keep going. And they really want to keep shooting the Leclerc. Now Leclerc is being healed up pretty quick, and with that we can once again go on a mission. At this point, Dr. Czar has scored 1145 points. With that, he's leading the team. There is definitely no stopping this guy because, well, this Leclerc just refuses to die. After everything that it's been through, Moderna's, T-55s, T-72s, artillery salvos, infantry warfare, it just doesn't get killed. Time to help out against the infantry here a little bit. Unfortunately, his own Jaeger team died, but bit by bit he is moving, or he's getting this light infantry out of a position here. So that maybe the Cavati can take it over, or at some point the US Marines, which are getting resupplied. The Navy SEALs are almost up to full strength. And let's see, what do we have here? That seems to be visible. T-55? Possibly. Once again, a risky move over here. He is pushing forward without reconnaissance, without infantry screening for him. He's now just sitting out in the open again. So far it has worked, and so far he's gotten away with it. So you could argue that maybe he's going to get away with it again. But this time around he's sticking a little bit more to cover, making sure that he has cover to back into if need be. In the meanwhile we find what seems to be a transport, because these guys are just shooting each other with machine guns. And this guy says, no, let me handle that. And Voyer takes out another transport. At this point, Red 4's position is getting quite vulnerable. You can see that more and more Red 4 players are starting to leave. In the meanwhile, the Leclerc over here is engaging two different groups of infantry at the same time. There was the Zalosnichi over here and there. The machine gun took care of one, and the main gun took care of the other. There's the Zalosnichi again. Unfortunately, the transport that was escorting it has had an optical failure. So they can get shot at, but they cannot return fire for the next 90 seconds, which for these guys must be an eternity at this point. Now, the Leclerc, 17 rounds left. There's another 15-point infantry unit, and we have another T-55. It is fairly healthy for hit points. And once again, this unit also has suffered an optical failure. If the Jaeger push in, they might be able to kill it. Alright, Voyer, where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? How much of a risk taker are you with this tank? He's falling back for a bit. Where are you gonna go? I think he's gonna need a bit of time to get to the front line again. Yeah, this is where the action is. There's infantry pushing through. Once again, his own infantry, the Jaeger, so he knows what's out there. Pushing into a Kolos, pushing into some transport. There goes another transport. This guy just keeps taking out transports as well. This is something that Leclerc does exceptionally well, because it snaps so quickly to targets and then fires every 5 seconds. You just snap the targets and you immediately wipe them out. There's another Strela killed. See, this unit doesn't particularly focus on extremely high value kills. Well, not so much the Leclerc, but this particular Leclerc. And he just keeps wiping out whatever he spots. The only risk that the Leclerc has had so far, there goes the T-55, the real risk was the artillery. The other one got killed because it rushed right into the open arms of a proletariat squad, but aside from that, these guys have been very effective. Mostly just taking out the vehicles so that the infantry was able to push up easy. Another 5 points. Just driving by the wreck of a command vehicle here. 12 rounds left. Another infantry squad over here, spotted, Strela group. And I'm not sure if they got killed off by something else or if they ran into concealment. Now at this point he is almost approaching the enemy base. Just a couple more tree lines and we're there. I really hope for this Leclerc that there is nothing else hiding in these tree lines. If there is, then this might be the last run of that Leclerc. Now there's something on the right. It's a couple of AA units, very expensive AA units at that. And there's a Malyutka on the left. This could be a problem. But they take out the Malyutka just as that HGM comes whipping by. And with that, the HGM loses target guidance and harmlessly flies off. Seems to be another artillery strike happening. But that is not our concern. Although, if we can address it, sure enough, let's do it. Almost at the enemy base. Almost linking up with the Dutch and the Norwegian forces over here. 8 rounds left. 800 rounds for the M2. And sure enough, the enemy will have more supplies for them if they can capture a fob. Almost there. Just this tree line and you have a pretty decent line of sight on whatever the enemy has over here. But we might not have enough ammo to take out everything. Snaps to the T-72, takes a shot and kills the T-72. Nice work. Next one. What's up? What else can we find? Another transport, Stock 2. And now it is lunchtime. Another 90-point RSVPO Neva Mid, or Neva M1T goes down, and another one. Actually, if the other one was 90 points, then it was not a Neva, or something else. He keeps pushing, 120 points. That was another artillery unit. And snaps 2 and kills another 140-point artillery unit. Fortunately, he has captured a fob, because his ammo was running out to the last round. And now he has another 13, so now we can keep going. Command infantry. Beautiful. Just keep those guys lit up. Oh shit, we're taking fire. And he immediately hits the thing, crits it, and gets an optical failure on that tank. 85 points, killed. Once again, where were we? Ah yes, the command infantry. And another 15-point unit. The HGM flies over. More vehicles being brought in. Kills one. Only got 5 points, so the others apparently made it out alive. That's a lot of HGMs. That's a Victoria group. Kills another one. Takes another HGM hit. This is not looking good. Another 5-point kill. Another HGM hits the front of the tank. He's down to 3. 10 points kill. So the transport, I think. Get out, get out, get out. Now has a body. Oh, there was another missile. He's down to 1 health. The Leopard 2A4 is trying to escort and find whatever's shooting at the Leclerc, but does not really have a line of sight on anything. And there goes the last missile. Oh, so close to the end. And Voyer is dead. Or, as the French would probably pronounce it, Voyer. Such a good run. That one tank, such a good run, and especially with just 1 minute left on the clock. He really narrowly died just there on the end. It would have been perfect if he'd survived the entire match, but nah. So close, and then he died. Such a shame. Anyway, the rest of the match is just wrapping up with Red 4, which could be an interesting title for a match too. Wrapping up with Red 4. 23 minutes on Punch Bowl, and Dr. Czar has killed 2,263 points and lost 585. Now we have 2 Leclercs in the field. Avis died pretty early. He killed off a couple of Victorias, a couple of transports, an Afghansky, and some infantry. Some other units also were assisting, the Marder 2 and the Panzergrenadier, and then we have Voyer. Transport Moderna, 160 points, 3 Afghanskys, AGS-17, that's infantry, more Proletary, infantry, another Moderna, another 170 point tank, M84AN, if I'm not mistaken that's 110 points, T-55 command tank, so let's say 120 points, more transport, T-55 AM2 Dyna 1, 65 points, transports, infantry, Razvedka, T-55 Dyna 1 again, Conqueror's M-team, Malyutka team or Malyutka vehicle, T-72, transport, artillery, AA, another artillery, and a Smirch, a Wilk, a couple of transports, and then the Victorias. And this is where everything went to shit. Because not 2, but 3 Victoria teams spawned in. And it was that last Victoria team that took out Voyer. Oh, sorry, it was a Conquerors team. It was not even a Victoria team. The Conquerors team was the one that finally made Voyer stop, unfortunately. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that action-packed life of Voyer. I'm really sorry to see that he died there just on the end. But considering that a Leclerc is a 165-point tank, and looking at that massive kill list of this tank, I'd say that this thing has fought a hell of a fight. Hope you guys enjoyed that. If you did, then please consider becoming a Patreon supporter. I can really use your support. Link down below in the comments, or, well, not in the comments, but in the description. If you have a replay like this that you need me to see, then please send it in through the link in the description. Send me your replays, that's where you can find that. Keep in mind though, I don't do replays of an hour. People keep sending me replays that last a whole hour. I don't do those because they're just simply too long. Not so much that people don't watch 1 hour replays, as quite a few have commented that yes, I do in fact watch a whole hour. But it's mostly that my voice doesn't last a whole hour. I mean, I'm talking for pretty much an hour non-stop. And that is quite hard to do on these commentaries. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you for watching, thank you for joining, and I'll catch you guys soon for more Wargame.